These are the first few minutes of Abdukodir Khusanov at Manchester City and the Premier League. For any lesser player, this would not only be a career-defining moment, but probably a career ender. Instead, Khusanov rose beyond Manchester City fans' expectations to the point that fans demand him being a regular starter. But how did Khusanov get here, and what makes him so special? Khusanov received football in heritage. The son of former Uzbekistan national team player Abdukodir Khusanov, he took his first steps in football at just the age of 7 at the Bunyodkor Academy, considered one of the best in Uzbekistan. Sergey Chigadev, Abdukodir's first coach, said about Khusanov, "Even in childhood, it was obvious that Abdukodir had great talent, but talent needs to be properly developed. It is impossible to achieve success in football only through talent. Khusanov has talent, hard work, discipline, and the right upbringing. Everything I told him to do on the field, he did it without question." Khusanov would consistently play against players older than him during his young age and would usually be the youngest in his squad. By the age of 17, Khusanov had already moved abroad to Belarus to the energetic BGU club. By summer of 2022, he was called up to the Uzbekistan under-20 national team. In March 2023, Khusanov became one of the leaders of the Uzbekistan youth team at the home FIFA Under-20 Asian Cup. Not only that, he helped the team win the tournament, incidentally at the home stadium of Bunyodkor, the club where he had first cut his teeth in the senior football. 2 months later, Khusanov, together with the Uzbekistan Under-20 team, went to the FIFA World Youth Championship. The competition was relocated to Argentina, where Uzbekistan was placed in a group alongside the new host nation. This allowed scouts from Europe to notice what the young Uzbek had to offer. His talents didn't go unnoticed, and soon, one of the European clubs from the top 5 European leagues turned its attention to one of the most promising defenders available. Yep, his performance drew attention from Lens, the Ligue 1 club. They were not the only club, as the Manchester United scout was also interested and even sought out his agent, but eventually failed to land Khusanov, and he moved to France for just 100,000 euros. Lens proudly stated they had landed, quote-unquote, an unbridled talent from Asia at his unveiling. His debut against Metz made him the first Uzbek player to play in Ligue 1. On 29th November 2023, Khusanov played his first UEFA club competition game, a 6-0 UEFA Champions League group defeat against Arsenal. At 19 years and 9 months old, he became the youngest Uzbek to play in the UEFA Champions League. In his 2.5-season-long stay at Lens, he didn't start a lot of games, but when he did, he was one of the better players on display. In all, he made 31 appearances for Lens across all competitions by January 2025. Despite his talents, he was still a bit raw and a bit part player in Lens. After all, at 20, he was still learning the game, and yet, nobody could have imagined which club would be next for a young Khusanov. The 2024-25 season was a harrowing one for Manchester City. The club was a far cry away from the team that had done the continental treble just a couple seasons ago and had also won the Premier League for the 4th time in a row just the previous season. They were struggling for form, and many players were out due to injuries and fitness issues. City's defensive line was particularly decimated by injuries, as most of City's defenders were in and out of the infirmary at one point or the other during the season. The injury crisis forced City's hand during the winter transfer window, and while the club had always been reluctant to do business in the January transfer window, this window they had to bring players worth over £250 million. This included the Uzbek and Lens defender Abdukodir Khusanov. On 20th January 2025, Khusanov became the first Uzbek player to sign for a Premier League club, joining Manchester City on a 4.5-year deal. He did not even have the time to settle in before his debut, as he started his first game for Manchester City 5 days later against Chelsea at home. His rapid promotion to City's first team was mostly due to the defensive crisis City found themselves into. Before this, he had only started 23 times for Lens across 2 seasons, and his first 5 minutes for the club were not pretty at all. Less than 3 minutes into his debut, he misplaced a header back to Ederson, allowing Nicholas Jackson to nip in, cross to Noni Madueke, and give Chelsea a 1-0 lead. Barely a minute later, he mistimed a tackle and was shown a yellow card. He couldn't have gotten off to a worse start in the Premier League if he tried. It wouldn't be hard to imagine how a player, especially as young as Khusanov, could simply crumble after a start like this. However, he did not. He slowly grew into the game and eventually departed to a standing ovation when he was subbed out in the 54th minute. It showed Khusanov's steely determination. He went on to start 5 more times in the Premier League in the season before City's regular first-team defenders recovered, but his shining moment came in Champions League at the Bernabeu. City, already trailing in the tie, had to go in without their first-choice keeper Ederson and a half-fit Stones, who had to be subbed off in the 8th minute due to injury, and a makeshift right-back in Khusanov. While the result came out in Real Madrid's favour, Khusanov kept a check on his flank, not letting Vinicius Jr. have a comfortable time on his side, proving that the Uzbek had a lot to offer, even in positions he was unfamiliar with. Since that fateful debut, Khusanov has only grown in confidence and stature. While he's still not a regular starter, Pep seems to trust him more and more in crunch games now. In the current season, he's made 30 appearances across all competition. Only 15 of them in the Premier League though, partly due to an injury he suffered early in the season. But he has been Pep's go-to man in crucial cup competitions and even Champions League. He was instrumental in helping City win the Carabao Cup last month and played a crucial part in knocking out Liverpool in the FA Cup quarter-finals. With a close title run-in coming up, Khusanov would be a vital part of this City team. So what makes Khusanov so good? The most striking thing about Khusanov is his pace, especially his recovery pace. The boy is rapid, but saying that it's all about his pace would be a lie. He's also a great reader of the game. Khusanov's pace and reading of the game enables him to make up ground when City press with one fewer player higher up. This prevents opponents from finding a way out of City's press. His pace allows him to be a great high-line defender, fitting Pep's system perfectly. That doesn't mean he's not technically proficient. He's a good passer with 91% passing accuracy as of now in the Premier League. Pep said about Khusanov, he's a top signing. He helps us a lot because we play so high and the positions in behind he handles it really well. He loves these kinds of actions. Step by step, we need him in the process on the ball. He will learn as he's so young. He's so coachable. He's always training good and gives 100%. There is still much to discover about Khusanov's qualities. He's just 22 and still to become a regular starter for his club. But looking at what he's already shown, there is no doubt there is a huge potential and a bright future in him. Thank you for watching. Like if you liked it, share if you find it worthy, and subscribe for more content like this. This is Salty Football.